yeah, they're going home, but that's substantial to beat Nip and to know that they can do that. It also is a serious martyrdom. Taking Nip, they're like, if I'm going down, you're coming with me. And yeah, down goes Ninjas in Pajamas, the reigning world champions. And they aren't going to lose that title here in this event, obviously, but it's still substantial. So the ban phase begins. Invictus on defense, and they will be the first to ban out Maverick.
This is a tremendously strong map historically for Team Empire, but obviously the Team Empire that we see before us is not the same Empire that has existed from time and space and from long, long ago. We'll let the operator bans go through while I just clarify what I meant about how it gets murky, Michael, because this picture of the playoffs is what's most important. At the moment, Team Liquid are first in the group. They've secured their spot. They have 12 points. Second is Team Empire with 8 points. Third is Invictus with 7. If Invictus wins their match against Empire in regulation and then also beats Team Liquid in regulation, Team Invictus Gaming, they end up in first in the group. They leapfrog over Liquid, and Empire goes out. The only time where things get a little bit sketchy is if Invictus wins in overtime. Empire defeated Invictus in their first game 8-6. If the same scoreline results, but with Invictus winning 8-6 in overtime, then the head-to-head is technically tied. The amount of maps won is technically tied, with Invictus winning 3 to Empire's 3. Both teams are tied at 9 points, and then ultimately what happens in that Liquid game will determine whether Empire or Invictus end up leaving the group. So for those of you that want some kind of certainty and closure here, let's hope it doesn't go to overtime. That's basically the point to be made.
As a reiteration here is that if either of these teams win in OT, that's it. They take the spot.
No.
Done.
Regulation.
Sorry, see, you confused me, Parker, and now I'm confusing everybody else.
If the team wins
in regulation,
and there is no overtime required, the team that wins goes on, the loser goes home.
Right,
It's that simple.
No, actually, yeah, I just mixed the two.
It gets way more complicated if it goes to overtime. That was my point.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen so that nobody has to scratch their head and wonder. But we have here the first defensive round, and it's going to be IG starting on Jim. I like a start on Jim. I think it's different. It's interesting. Is the word I would use.
It is certainly a fascinating choice, yes. This is usually known as the tertiary bomb site on this map. It is seldom seen unless absolutely required. Now, with it being the first site for Invictus, it absolutely is not required. They could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that going here just to upset the flow just a little bit, that's a good start for Invictus. I don't know if it's going to work against Empire, to be honest, but I'm looking forward to seeing the result. Extension into cash, and the hold is there with 2 shields, top red. Interesting kind of setup here from Invictus. Mirror window going on to the office wall into workshop. This is you and I's first time casting Invictus, if I'm not mistaken, Parker.
That is absolutely correct.
It's interesting to see some different Siege being played, and I like this setup we're seeing already from Invictus. It's different.
With us casting Invictus, not to make it all about ourselves, but with us casting Invictus, the only 3 teams in the entire event that we have not casted are Na'Vi, Furia, and SSG. Now, as we will be casting the playoffs, Furia and SSG are still very possible. For Na'Vi, unfortunately, our dulcet tones do not get to guide them forward and call the action that you see in front of your eyes.
We've got some early hard destruction going on into cash here from Empire, and they're going to start opening these walls. Nobody at top red for Invictus, so they invest 2 shields there, and then insist on leaving it. I guess it makes sense if they're worried about time or possibly losing a player, but I don't know. It's an odd investment to see it's kind of sacrificed so easily.
Construction being the primary focus for Invictus right now through all the soft walls that they've opened up. Lines of sight leading from navigation or logistics, where we see the mirror window into that construction wall. And Empire trying to do their own caliber-based destruction. They've got a great operator to do just that with the LMG of Zofia at their disposal, being held by JoyStiCK. The 30 seconds that we've been talking about this execute so far, the map control that Empire has gained has solely been around the cache area. And Invictus did not want to hold out too long there, so instead they've backed away. And in fact, they're a little bit bunched up inside of logistics, watching the hatch, and if a drop comes down, it's very likely that Empire would pick up 1 but not 2 of the guns from Invictus that are currently trained at that.
The biggest problem here for Invictus is the fact that Thatcher is still up, not banned in the ban phase, which is unusual for this map. Instead, we had the Maverick and the Hibana. Now, because of that, the cache wall was opened up, or rather the server wall, the single wall in Workshop, and now the final EMP will come out, and you'll see the wall by Jacuzzi open. Everything open, and that's going to allow Empire to get the first pick, but answered by Jordan. This back and forth will continue, though. Invictus on the back foot as that nade from Always will land, and that it technically is actually a martyrdom. He was dead when it happened.
The 4 players from Empire are all going to be pushing from construction. The 3 remaining players from Invictus are held up on the other side of the map, watching over towards the gym. HysteRiX is down for the count. He was over by Weight Room. All of the guns from Empire are hitting their targets, and SpeakEasy has been a hero in the past, but with the plant going down, his job just got significantly tougher. He's given away on the top of stairs, wary of somebody being over by Jacuzzi. The Vector in his hand is not the gun that he wants to be able to engage 3 different players from Empire, all of whom sit at full HP. Those Empire players have basically vacated the site. Only one is sitting nearby. The others are outdoors. And Scyther, the one who is inside the Lion's Den, cleans up the final kill to give Empire round number 1.
Very dangerous for Invictus Gaming to leave the Thatcher in play. I think that's going to cause more problems than they forecasted. I get the Maverick ban because it's a similar type of ban to the Thatcher ban, but on Clubhouse, that Thatcher is just too potent to leave up, and we saw that clear as day as Empire was able to open every wall that they wanted with no problem whatsoever. You know, the alternative and the way that IG could fix this is to bring something other than mute to deny the walls. You could bring your Kaid and juggle it, Bandit batteries, you got options.
Bandit obviously fallen out of the meta quite a bit.
Oh, way out.
However, I am very curious to see if the changes that have been proposed to the mute jammers on the TTS will push Bandit back in. For those of you that haven't seen, the mute jammers are essentially a cylinder going straight up from where the jammer is placed, which means that anything below it doesn't really work out, but the cone continues to go upwards. It's why in a couple of sites, especially on the map Consulate, you'll see a mute jammer get placed on an elevated surface, and that mute jammer's ability will go through the floor, affecting not just the floor it's on, but the floor above it. It's not the case anymore. The changes make it more spherical. So now the height, the ceiling, and the range of the jammer is significantly lower. You put a mute jammer down at a wall, about a solid foot of the top of the reinforcement remains open, and you can clear that out quite easily without the mute jammer jamming your gadgetry.
Yeah, and that is a proposed change that's technically on the test server. We'll see if that one makes it all the way through. I actually kind of like it. I think it's cool, because mute is one of the most useful denial operators, but well, that's open for discussion. I think that's going to be an important change for Siege if it does manage to make it all the way through. Now we see early on here, again, cash pressure as they're trying to clear out the roamers that Invictus are bringing in.
SpeakEasy's up top. He just lost access to that mute jammer. And while it was disabled, the panel that it was guarding is also open. Season. Down it goes. And the exothermic charge goes off quite effectively. ShepparD doing his job. He's been one of the standout performers for this tournament and has been indisputably the best player for Empire thus far. I'm glad that he's been getting the due that he's so deserved, because for a long time, it was Karzeka, JoyStiCK, and then eventually Dan who got their calling. Scyther had some moment in the sun, but the real rock for Empire has been ShepparD.
Nothing too surprising here. Lots of utility used from Empire to clear out the top floor. 2 Thatcher EMPs, plenty of hard destruction. They have a lot of hard destruction stacked up, and they need that because of the Maverick and the Hibana ban. But those EMPs are expensive. Only 1 left in Dan's pocket, and he'll definitely need it moving forward. Curiously, no Kaid being brought. I get it because the Thatcher's in play. But they did extend upstairs, and the EMPs were expended upstairs. Also, there are drops on this site that you can juggle that Electroclaw on. So, weird, especially when he's not banned.
Very similar to what we saw on the previous round. The map control held by Invictus is relinquished as we hit the halfway point in the round, and they've now scampered off into the confines of the site, and they'll sit down there and wait very patiently for Empire's assault. Should Empire be able to muster one, Invictus are not particularly keen to take engagements early on with the way that Empire have been hitting their shots today, and throughout the entire event, I wouldn't be too surprised. Not that there's any lacking of firepower in the hands of the Singaporean team. So with that and more soft destruction being done, Empire have a pretty good idea of what they want to do here. Been trying to clear out blue, and ShepparD will see. And there go the ADS. As always, grenade lands perfectly into the lap of Joe, and unfortunately for him, the hot potato's a little bit too hot for him to be able to handle. The smoke will go off, and it'll stop the push from blue, but not in the direction that they think, as JoyStiCK has made his way down from Oil Pit, and he can see into the back of Armory. Down goes SpeakEasy to always picking up his second kill. Scyther gets baited in through the smoke. HysteRiX is good enough for that shot. ShepparD, one of his own. Still the advantage in favor of Empire as they're looking to clean up the site, but it's a retake from Invictus. They don't know the play's going down. He stops it in his tracks. It's Always now in Lunarmetal in a 1v1 with the round on the line and no time left for Always to do it, but somehow he does it with no time left on the clock, and Empire take the second round.
A huge misplay for Lunarmetal, going for the peak there. There's every chance that he could have just survived for half a second longer, and we would have seen that go for Invictus. Big win there for Empire, and one that they certainly should not have gotten, considering their time management through that round. Invictus had firm control of the situation, and they just let it slip away. Tragic is the word I would use to describe that.
That is an absolute heartbreaker for Lunarmetal, and of course for Invictus as well, with a lot on the line here, with the fact that this is going to be as close of a matchup as we come to expect. The first bout between these two teams just a couple days ago went to an 8-6 thriller in overtime, nearly meeting every single round. This is a game of inches. You cannot be sacrificing easily won rounds. You can't do it. And that was an easily won round for Lunarmetal, who peeks up and takes the engagement when he thinks the clock is going to run out, and a nanosecond separated Invictus from a win and a loss.
It's tragic, like I said. It's really, and that's deflating too, Parker. We don't often talk about it, but when you have rounds like that, where you're in the driver's seat, clearly you're going to win off the clock as the defenders. All you need to do is stay alive, and the enemy team pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and just in the last second they win against you, and you know you could have won it. It really can get to you. And I hope it's not going to get to Invictus, because I'd like to see a good game here. This is very early on for somebody to be checking out. We'll see. They go to Jim for the next defense, and well, you said it usually is the tertiary site. Well, technically, they're going to it third and first.
I think Jordan just got his feet caught through the drone hole by Balcony as he lost 25 HP from a single shot and then had to retreat very quickly.
Very possible.
Cache CCTV obviously receiving a variety of changes again on that test server coming up. I would recommend everybody here who's watching to go and install the test server to try out the latest changes to the game. I believe it's live right now, actually.
Not entirely sure. I haven't had a chance to play, unfortunately.
We've been a little busy.
Yes, we have.
Just a tiny bit busy.
Used to the Selma there on the wall from garage rafters into server. And what that will do, will open up a rotation that they can use to cut off actually the rotation from Jordan. I kind of dug myself in a hole in that call out. But yeah, Jordan's trying to rotate through, and he's going to get caught. Not actually through that hole, it's through the window. But Empire still get the lead on pit.
Great patience from Empire on that one, and this is a key difference between what Invictus did on the first attempt on this site and now, is that they stuck around. Instead of giving up that ground, instead of retreating back to the site and then simply being picked off one by one, they decided that they wanted to take engagements. And you know what? I can't necessarily blame them on that. No. But you need to be a little bit more accurate. And the best player so far for Invictus is Jordan, and he's the one that was the casualty.
I honestly don't know how I feel about a cache extension that's got a Thatcher in play. You're leaving yourself so exposed. C4 will miss there for Lunarmetal, and that's unfortunate that he doesn't get anything out of that for him and his team. But yeah, when you have the Thatcher, all these walls are essentially free, and they're not bringing anything to deny. They're bringing a mute, right? Mute is practically useless in this scenario.
With a Thatcher on the board.
It's a total mispick. There is no reason to be bringing him here unless your intent is to stop drones, and that's it. Which is fair, but there are other better picks, like Mozzie, for example. For that, nice shot from Dan. Down goes Joe. SpeakEasy will answer back, so we'll keep this round in contention.
30 seconds left, and HysteRiX down below will head back to the site to help out the two remaining members of his team that are up there. He's going to survey the opening that was created over by Jacuzzi. Once again, Invictus in a very similar spot to where they were in the previous round. They're holed up over by the stairs and by Jim, which is going to allow the attacking team, Empire, to take charge of the doorway leading into the master bedroom. This time, SpeakEasy's pushed up a little bit more, and Empire have actually shuffled the cards in the deck. Scyther will be on the hunt through logistics, but he gets punished for it. SpeakEasy misses their shots. 2 come in for Empire, and it's Lunarmetal to try to clutch up. On Mira, he'll have to deny the plant going down from ShepparD, but there's Dan watching, and on that flank watch, Dan is so formidable. He's got the marks, he's got the intel, and he's got the kill as well to have Empire now go up 3-0.
Beautiful pre-fire there for Empire to take that one. And Parker, that is 2 rounds in a row that IG could have won and failed to in the dying seconds. The planter was exposed. Had the cover not come in for Empire, easy denial. And that time on 000, it would have gone for Invictus Gaming.
Yeah.
But not so. And so, we'll finally go to Cash, the long-awaited site. The only one not defended thus far by Invictus Gaming. And they'll try their luck at it. See if they can make it happen. And yeah, I guess I want to roll back to the analysis I made in mid-round. Basically, I don't think that the mute is the play. Just to put it simply, it's not going to be especially useful unless you need it for the setup. I don't know, there's other options. Bring a Bandit, try to trigger. Bring a Kite, you can trick with him too.
I mean, Kite is very firmly in the meta at the moment.
Yeah.
Bandit might not be, but Kite is absolutely played at this level, and yet is absent from this lineup from Invictus.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be banned.
I mean, they have brought the Bandit, that's fine, but once again, like, that is still outside the ordinary. And
I mean,
when we talk about APAC style of siege,
must locate and defuse a bomb.
ignoring the fact that APAC has been so strong at this event, one of the main criticisms is that it's a failure to adapt to the current meta. Not bringing a Kaid, instead going with a Bandit over a Mute, could strike me very much as failing to adhere to the current meta.
I mean, they brought both, right? I think it's odd. Definitely Kaid's the best option here, but let's see what HysteRiX can do. He is going to be doing the tricking. I did say I wanted to see this, and I'm happy that I am. Last round would have been useful. I mean, every one of the rounds except for the bottom 4, Bandit would have been useful. So let's see what HysteRiX can do. Dan is ready with the EMP. ShepparD is going to go for the upside down rappel and try to open that wall. Maybe Scyther will. There goes the EMP. It's a double. So HysteRiX needs to be quick with this, and he'll get 2 sets of Selmas.
Oh!
Beautiful job there for HysteRiX. There goes the XO, but no, ShepparD does not fully commit. And that looks like he's going to get free hard breach, essentially, and force Empire off. We needed to see this from Invictus earlier. We're seeing it now. It's great to have.
And of course, you've got HysteRiX, who has been one of the best performing APAC players, and for a period of time was actually the best performing APAC player in APAC North, back when Invictus was there. Invictus now coming from APAC South. So for this team that's faced adversity all the while, it's nice to see them still as competitive as they are. And, well, they might have a blind spot that's about to be taken advantage of and exploited by JoyStiCK. Getting some teamwork and intel now as to what awaits him through the door into construction. Who's going to peek him? That's the real question. HysteRiX looks to be the one in the line of sight. JoyStiCK gets a little bit friendly with him. He could do some significant damage, but no, he falls off. He doesn't want to provoke an engagement right now with just about a minute to go.
Ooh, HysteRiX is going to rotate his Bandit tricking here over to the construction wall, or workshop wall, or what have you. Here comes the EMP on the roof, and I don't know if HysteRiX is ready for that. Nade goes over as well, and it looks like it's going to be an open wall. HysteRiX not in a position to stop it. Always gets a nade kill, but no, the wall is stopped somehow. However it is, that's good denial. Empire are picking up the kills, though, as Joe is down in Raptors.
I don't know if comms were a mess for Invictus there or not, but the telltale sign of the pin pull from the grenade should have been a dead giveaway that you need to move as quickly as you can. The first one going out was evaded, but then unfortunately for Invictus, Jordan gets taken out by the other. There's one refrag, though, from Lunar onto Dan. The way that Dan and Always have been playing so far, they're 2 very high-profile targets, and HysteRiX, are you kidding me? Pulls off a beautiful transfer, picks up 2 of them. Empire's momentum blunted, and Scyther inside the site now has a hell of a lot of work to do. He's not going to make it past SpeakEasy. Invictus finally break Empire's streak and get their first round in this match.
Love to see that there from Invictus, and it's exactly what you need to deal with Empire. Empire does not often leave gaps in their attacking line, but they sure did there. And HysteRiX realized that gap existed and seized full control of Workshop. Beautiful play. You gotta do something like that to keep your team in competition when you're down 3-0. It's exactly what we see. Invictus, great job. HysteRiX, great job. I'm honestly really surprised that they were able to take that one. I'm also wondering what happened with that workshop wall.
I don't know.
Could have been an impact, maybe. I didn't see it. The bandit tricking wasn't in. But either way, wall stays intact, and that makes it a lot easier for HysteRiX to force that control.
Well, now we're going to see a little bit of a change from Invictus here as to how they want to approach this downstairs defense. They'll go back to the bomb site of Church. So far, through these 4 rounds, Invictus has not gone for the typically most played bomb site, which is that CCTV cache. Other than what we just saw, my apologies, never mind.
I mean, well, it's the only site.
I'm a stupid idiot.
It's the only site they. It took them 4 rounds to get there, I think is what you meant.
No, it's because with the way that I'm writing notes, I left off the bomb site for round 4.
Oh.
So I just wrote Church into it.
Whoops.
Incorrectly.
Well, you know, it did take them a while to get there. And it was the only site that they won. So, well done for, I am talking about them. Well done to Invictus. They're actually getting the round. Yeah, but Empire now going back to an attack on the bottom floor. Last time they were here, they won this really well. I don't expect them to take 2 in a row without any kind of adaptation.
2 in 1 round, that'd be a record.
Yeah, I think that would be
We've
first time.
decided that due to your dominance, we have awarded you 2 points
rounds
for that round.
Yes, congratulations. I don't think that's going to happen. Do you?
Not with that attitude.
So
I don't think so either, no. And I mean, Invictus are, frankly, I don't want to read into it too much, but it seems like they're playing scared at the moment.
Yes.
It seems like they're being very reluctant to take engagements. It feels like they're not committing the way they need to, and there's a lack of confidence in their gunfights.
Except for HysteRiX, of course, who made that play in Workshop. That's the one real exception that I think we can point out.
Well, I think for a small window of time back at the mid to tail end of 2020, he was actually the best performing player in the world of any of the 4 major regions.
And there he goes.
Unfortunately for this round, his presence is not going to be felt. JoyStiCK is scared off by a nitro cell as HysteRiX will bleed out and try to link up with Lunarmetal, but they might be triple retaking. Foolish endeavor.
Okay.
Get back to your cave.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the play, and they will agree as they fall back.
At that point, you've already lost HysteRiX. You don't want to sink any more costs in.
Yeah, no need to forfeit the round off of a single roamer. Claymore goes down here for JoyStiCK. That's going to deny the ladder. Does take a lot of damage there, and he is the top performer for Empire. So being put down to about 30 HP is not ideal.
Hits a landmine with that hammer as a nitro cell goes off at his feet, and he gets out of there. Interesting, though, by the way, that the 2 operator bands, Maverick and Fauna, have made Ace and Thermite a necessity through every single round. And this is essentially mutually assured destruction from these teams. There have been times in the past where teams have befuddled Empire by banning Heart Breachers against them, and I think this might have been the goal for Invictus. So far through these 4 rounds, make it 5 as we're almost done. I don't know exactly how successful it's been because Empire are at the moment cruising. And it's Invictus who might be getting a bruising, though. Final 30 seconds, and some damage has been done to Empire, but that's been about it. Always is not at full HP, neither is Scyther. JoyStiCK trying again for this nice solo mission through blue. It's a stealth mission, and he'll go on to drone to continue to get his way inward. Empire really need to be quick on this one because they've wasted an awful lot of time. 15 seconds remain. There's a shotgun on the ground for SpeakEasy, but no, he looks the wrong way. Patience would have been so good for him. They go through the gate, eating damage while they do so. Jordan watching the hallway. Lunarmetal goes down, so Jordan will need to be the one to cover. He has no idea where they are, but 4-1 scoreline for the attackers upon which we look.
It's difficult, Parker, because normally the Maverick and the Hibata band slow you down a lot more on this map. But, and this is a big one, the Thatcher is in play. The thing that I think we're not used to seeing, Parker, is we're not used to seeing that Thatcher be so relevant. And it's because Empire are, well, they know exactly how to use him. Not every team actually does anymore. Believe it or not, he's kind of a magic eraser as far as operators go. But I've seen teams struggle to use him effectively. So I'm just, saying, as Empire, they still know. And they are putting great effect here, along with the Thatcher and the Ace.
Well, I mean, if there's any operator that I would associate with Dan, it's Thatcher.
Yeah,
It has been, when
5 seconds to
available, his
insertion.
most played operator across a lot of maps.
Likes
Even
him a lot.
after Empire were tinkering with the lineup and
Attackers
trying
are
to change
moving
some
out to
things.
locate a bomb and
For a
defuse
period of time, it just seemed like they were rearranging the chairs on the Titanic, because no matter what they were trying to do, the team was not having the success. They very narrowly escaped relegations as well in the EU League by finishing almost dead last. So they've managed to correct course, and with it, this Empire looks quite frightening. Invictus has hung tough with them, but I don't know if the turnaround is going to happen here. I don't want to sell the match short, and I don't want to pull you out of it. But if we're being frank, Invictus should have more than a single round looking at these operator bans on Clubhouse. That's just the way it boils down to it. And when we switch sides, Empire are going to take full advantage of the fact that there's a Mav and Hibana ban on the board.
Oh, this is quick action here from JoyStiCK. He's following the drone in. He's going to try and get something out of this. Empire already find themselves... Oh,
What is that?
Oh, no, you gotta be kidding me. JoyStiCK just spraying the soft wall, and we'll see him get somebody trying to reinforce. Now we've got Jordan and Lunarmetal on the floor off a TK and a random wallbang. A calculated random wallbang, but it's random all the same.
Mental chalked.
Absolutely destroyed. This is going to be, in all likelihood, no guarantee. Obviously, Invictus could clutch up this round. At the worst, a 4-2 half for Empire, and it's looking a lot better than the worst right now.
But managing to correct the mistakes that have been committed so far in this round, Jordan's misplacement, and Lunar with the unfortunate victim of circumstance, that's a big momentum builder. You've taken your time out. This needs to be the turnaround for you, and obviously sacrificing Lunarmetal to the gods of Clubhouse is not an ideal start.
No, it really isn't. He might have been able to juggle that motor drop, but honestly, the swiftness and the teamwork that Empire was just showing on the motor drop suggests to me that it's unlikely there would have been any juggling, at least any successful juggling of the electric claws. Lots of holes being opened up here by Team Info. They have firm control of that hallway from above.
They don't have to worry about a single nitro cell. SpeakEasy still has one, but I don't know if it's been pre-placed or just gone.
I think it was pre-placed there, and the nade destroyed it. I think that's what is trying to show to us by the spectator. Not entirely sure.
That could be it. More destruction in the kitchen as the hatch now gets opened up. Lunarmetal, or Joe, taken out by JoyStiCK. SpeakEasy rotates over to blue. This will be a tight angle for him to play off of. Doesn't lose his reticle, though. At least it doesn't look like it. He gets scared off from that position and heads on over to Moto. The two last players from Invictus really have their hands full here with this Empire team, and now JoyStiCK's third kill will mean that an almost ace on his part, with the exception of the team kill, could have been done. Scyther finishes off the first half, though, with a triumphant and flawless half for Empire. A 5-1 scoreline, and this is a must-win for both of these teams. Empire seem to have got the memo. Invictus, they've got some work to do.
Yeah, Invictus have not. They have not gotten that memo. They're a little checked out. I'm not going to beat around that bush. They will be bringing that same trio of Ace, Thermite, and Thatcher. You need it, because that's just where the bans are, and you are going to have to bring that set. Yana and Sledge as well. So there's your soft destruction. I like the lineup here from IG for a technical to happen. And before you even raise the issue, it was on Empire's side. But I think they need to get out of their heads, and I think they need to start playing their own game. Because remember the only round that Invictus has won?
Yeah.
What happened? HysteRiX went for a push, bullheadedly, into Workshop, and it's the Empire just wasn't covering it. And they took full advantage, HysteRiX did. Now, I'm used to seeing that from Invictus. I'm used to seeing them kind of flooding into gaps like water and exploiting those gaps and punishing their opponents. And I've only seen it once this whole map. So there's clearly some fear here for Invictus, and they need to shake that. Yeah. So good that they had that little pause there.
Well, there's Team Chaos, which hopes for a mighty comeback from Invictus to throw us to overtime, have Invictus win so that both Empire and Invictus are tied in points. And then the Invictus Liquid matchup to follow this one is a hugely consequential affair.
Are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
I don't know if that's attainable right now, looking at what we're looking. A blow to the potential chances for Empire, or to Invictus rather, was just missed by Dan as he was looking for a spawn peek.
I mean, that could have been huge. We're one round away from match point for Empire, and if Invictus lose their, lose a player right off the cuff, immediately into the round.
Yeah.
I mean, their mental's already pretty chalked.
There's a good pun in there somewhere that I'll think of for later on.
Sure.
I've got a I've got something for you.
ShepparD on the bandit tricking. We talked about ShepparD's smoke play before. He is mechanically one of the better smokes in the entire world. And I think that he's got such a firm grasp over the little aspects of the utility in Siege that he is the perfect player to have on bandit tricking.
Yeah.
He won't commit to that actually. He could have saved that wall, but the nade would have killed him probably. So wall will open up, and it's good that ShepparD backed off.
One thing to also note here, a victory for Invictus means that the likelihood of APAC not just having 3 teams make it, but being the most represented region in the playoffs would be possible.
It'd be pretty high, actually. I mean, that's
just a small point. Oh my goodness, JoyStiCK taking away and just hacking at the shins of Jordan. They're trying to open up these 2 walls inside of Garage, and JoyStiCK will be there, man on a mission, trying to stop them from doing what they can to pick up a very valuable piece of map control. Invictus have no real answer for this. The Electric Claws that are positioned by Always as they've doubled up on the denial with the Bandit and Kaid in play seems to be slowing the advance, but I don't know what Scyther was doing there, but he gives SpeakEasy a relatively free kill.
Oh, and some more damage done there to ShepparD. The SpeakEasy drops, needing to reload. Also have to appreciate real quick that Invictus are, I think mostly, I've seen it 3 so far, they're mostly running the Cloud9 charms. That's a nice little nod of respect.
I've seen some nice team charms being used by these teams, but
yep.
You just always have to kind of take a deep breath. You see teammates just like running up on each other, and then the other pivots very quickly. Some of them don't lay outlines on. You might end up the victim of a team kill. But
we have seen that already today.
Maybe they have seen that. Speaking of Invictus, their focus is now over towards construction. That's where HysteRiX is. Have to be wary of these 2 bandit batteries that are on the wall. They must be removed before access can be granted for Invictus to get into the bomb site. They need desperately to get that open because their control of Garage evaporated, not quite there. Dan now in engagement with HysteRiX, and Lunarmetal's in with one of his own. He misses on JoyStiCK, who reloads. There's trades going back and forth both ways. SpeakEasy still posted up here. He can't hit the shot on the Kaid as it's Always and ShepparD now, arm in arm, the 2 denial. They need to shut down Jordan, and with that, Empire moved to match point.
There's not a lot of doubt in anyone's minds, I would imagine, at this point, Parker. We thought that maybe the Thatcher was going to be a major factor for the attack, and that's why we were possibly seeing Empire rack up all those rounds, but it seems not to be the case. As Empire, switching on to defense, will take their very first round, and now they get to go to an equally viable bomb site, the bottom floor. Now, unlike Empire, Invictus definitely struggled on the hard breach front with the Thatcher. We're not seeing the same proficiency with Thatcher, and this is exactly what I referenced earlier in the match when saying not every team knows how to play with Thatcher anymore. Now, I'm not saying Invictus don't know how to play with Thatcher, but I am saying not all the walls that could have gotten opened and would have been useful when opened were opened.
Well, this is an interesting strategy with the Capcan designed to potentially slow down any form of aggression from Invictus. What a time for IG to put in their worst performance thus far of the event. And I know that the fans of Empire are going to say, well, look at the Russian team's dominance. And yeah, of course, a bad team would not be punishing Invictus for the mistakes that they're making. Obviously, Empire are a very proficient team, and they deserve a ton of praise for how they're doing.
Doing great.
But there have been too many small mistakes committed by Invictus. Gunfights that don't need to be taken, that are done purely by nerves or hubris, neither of which are particularly good. Aim battles just simply lost on out. Lack of coordination from them. Joe is currently 0-7. That's not going to help anything.
And he is touted as being one of those players that really will perform consistently. So that's obviously not going to be great. There are layers to it. Poor utility usage as well. Frankly. I mean, it's early days on the attack, but even on the defense, we talked about how they failed to bring the Kaid when he would have been useful so many times. And to be fair, I mean, Empire aren't bringing a Kaid now on the bottom floor. And with Thatcher up, obviously you have to juggle. It's the only way he's going to be effective. But, I mean, it's a mite better than nothing.
Not sure.
Now, what we do know is we find ourselves in a situation where Dan is bringing Capcan because he thinks that Invictus probably aren't going to thoroughly clear every doorway. He might very well be right about that.
I mean, you'll be able to do some chip damage here and there, taking away anywhere from 40 to 60 HP, depending on the armor class and the proximity to that EED, or EDD rather, that's planted on the doorway. And it also looks like some of these might be helped by those mute jammers upstairs on the roam. So not only are you going to be denied that intel, but you might just wander into these traps without knowing about it. Now, we had singled out Jordan earlier on, or Joe rather, for the fact that he wasn't able to get a kill. Well, that streak is over. Finally, a frag comes out on his behalf. It's on to Dan, and suddenly Invictus are hitting their shots. Empire maybe getting a bit too cocky, a bit too comfortable with this lead. They've given up 2 unanswered kills now.
Yeah, this is, I believe, a bottom floor defense, and Empire are losing a ton of players upstairs. In fact, they still have a roamer in a 2 versus 5. And 3 of those defenders dying off-site. ShepparD's going to have to solo hold the site. Always is going to have to look for an opportune moment to make a flank, and he finds his opportune moment. Down goes Lunarmetal. Can he find another kill? The answer, yes, in the same magazine. Suddenly, this is looking a lot more winnable for Empire, as there's a 3rd for Empire, down in blue. Shotgun out for a 4th? Yes! It's just SpeakEasy, and he's got to win a 1 versus 2. He will not be able to. Empire take down Invictus Gaming.
Wow, what a statement that final round is for Empire. Invictus, 2 huge picks. They surrender it to Empire, and yet still, it's just not enough. A rotate that goes under the eyes of Invictus.